teaching piano. A very common thing with any heavy use piano, it doesn't necessarily need to be a teaching piano, is that we find this is a new set of hammers, maybe 6-8 months old. We've already got significant grooving in here as it's being played so many hours a day. Traditionally, we would then sand this off to present a new shape of the hammer, the traditional shape, and then do our traditional voicing techniques. Instead, in teaching pianos in the college and also teaching studios, we want to try and use some other techniques to actually puff out the compressed fibers here. The way that's been found to work is to inject steam into the hammers, or also an alcohol solution, which is mostly water, and alcohol helps it penetrate in. So first of all, as you have this compressed surface in there that's not going to readily accept the alcohol or steam, I'm going to do some light brushing, just to kind of, not heavy, this is a brass brush, and all I'm doing is kind of roughening up that glazed surface off the strings there. Next, in preparation for our steam, I've got a small bottle filled with just your regular drugstore alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. This used to be some kind of, not a breath spray, cough syrup spray kind of bottle. Again, we're going to protect the area, just a small spray. You can see coming across into the crown. What we're trying to do is start the process of puffing up the grooves. I'm going to support the tails. We would like to support the hammer so that when you press against it, there's no damage to the action. Again, like any of this series, this is not the only way. This may not be the best way. This is simply a one way of handling some of the problems that we come up with in piano technology. Since I'm interested in injecting in a controlled amount of water through steam, through vapor into here, what we're going to use is essentially a soldering iron with a metal bent piece. It's available in the supply houses. This one's actually homemade. And then we're going to take a linen cloth that will allow us, once the soldering iron is warm enough, to steam through the cloth and directly inject it into the hammers. So I'm going to wait for this to heat up, and then we'll go ahead and start. If you watched my other voicing video, you may be familiar with the idea of the hard metal ball that I laid a sheet of felt over the top to dampen the brightness of the hammer. The concept here is that initially, if we had the hammer in the proper voicing, we're happy with it. The inner part hasn't changed to the hammer. It's simply the outside has compressed through the grooves in from the strings, and I just like to puff that back out to present us with a little softer top to the hammer. Okay, I'm to the point where the soldering iron, if I touch it, we definitely see a little steam come off. So we're simply going to lay this over. This way, the only amount of steam that can come in is what's available in the cloth. The cloth is damp. If I wrung it some more, I could probably get a few more drops out of it. It's not soaking wet though. So that's all there is to it. You can go either side, and you can feel through where the hammers are. Of course, be careful not to burn yourself. And again, it's controllable steam voicing. We're injecting some water vapor, which is what's actually going to do the work of puffing out the felt, so that we're just not destructively filing off part of the hammer that we might be able to reuse. Now, an important part of this process is to actually iron in and settle the felt. Once you've puffed it out a little bit, you've got to go ahead and solidify that felt, otherwise the playing in will alter the quality of it quite a bit. And again, I'm not looking for burning the wool, that it's that hot. Some people will use a rheostat, some kind of controllable heat device. I find that if I just keep it moving, alternating with the steaming, the iron never gets too hot. Now, depending on how much use the piano is getting, how hard it's being played. You may go through it this once or twice. You can go ahead and slide it back in, see what kind of tone you're getting beforehand. And again, this is to puff it up so that any filing I do is going to be minimal. So if we're going to restore the shape a little bit, again, this is a gang filing technique that we're doing all of them together. Just to restore the shape of the hammers while removing the minimal amount of felt. You can see I'm not even going to sand all those grooves off, because this is kind of a every 6 month, every 4 month, depending on the use of these pianos in the colleges, just to preserve our use of the piano. There are a couple different techniques you can use. You know, some people like to do the shoe shine type technique, which tends to kind of flatten out the top. You know, if you go this way, it's a little bit more controllable, so you're not just kind of rounding out that top too much. Again, we're trying to maintain the shape of the hammer that you're all taught to do in the voicing classes. You know, you can go ahead and use a finer grit on just to smooth that off. I'm not sure this was ever done on this piano, because the other hammers you see really don't present themselves as a polished surface. They're kind of poofy. So it's a good idea to get this. This is 240. Then I'll go ahead and do 4 and 6. So we've got the 400 grit. We're going to go ahead and round this off. And again, part of this is just preserving the strike point, that we're not letting this widen out too much and start breaking strings through having too much of an impact zone. We're trying to keep that shape, smooth off the felt, give us a good solid surface, a nice level surface, because we're assuming our strings are level already, that we can continue with traditional voicing. And again, this shouldn't take too long. You know, 10-15 minutes, half an hour tops on the teaching piano is just, hopefully the piano's in tune, it's one that's regularly maintained, and you can spend a few extra minutes to improve your longevity of your voicing.